Once, Nokia wasn't just a phone company, it was a global icon. Its name stood for reliability, innovation, and status. Owning a Nokia phone was more than just having a device, it was a statement. People trusted it, governments relied on it, and for a time, it seemed untouchable. Yet today, when someone hears Nokia, most think of old, outdated phones, not the company that once ruled the mobile world. How did this happen? How did a brand that seemed invincible fall from global dominance? The story begins far from technology in a small Finnish town also called Nokia, back in 1865. The company didn't start as a phone manufacturer, it began as a paper mill. Paper might seem unremarkable today, but it laid the foundation for a company that would eventually impact millions of lives. Over the decades, Nokia diversified, moving into rubber, cables, tires, and even electronics. By the 1960s, Nokia merged with two other Finnish companies, forming a conglomerate with a mix of industries. It seemed chaotic, but this unusual combination taught Nokia a key strength: adaptability. In the 1960s and 1970s, Nokia experimented with electronics. Telecommunication technology was advancing, and the idea of mobile phones was slowly becoming a reality. Nokia began laying the groundwork for its future. The company learned to combine engineering skill with strategic thinking, positioning itself for the next big leap. By the 1980s, mobile phones were no longer a distant concept. They were emerging as a powerful new communication tool. Nokia saw the opportunity and decided to invest heavily. In 1987, it launched the Mobira CityMan. The device was large, heavy, and expensive, but it represented Nokia's first true step into mobile communications. Slowly, the company began to focus more on mobile technology, gradually spinning off unrelated businesses. The early devices were far from perfect. They were bulky, had limited battery life, and only worked in certain regions. But they were reliable. People began to recognize the Nokia brand as one that could be trusted. By the 1990s, Nokia had committed fully to mobile phones. This was a bold decision. Many competitors were still dabbling in the market, hesitant to abandon other profitable ventures. But Nokia believed that the future of communication was mobile, and it dedicated its resources to becoming a leader. In 1992, Nokia released its first mass-market consumer phone. It was simple and durable, designed to reach a wide audience. Its success surprised the market. Unlike other phones that were fragile or difficult to use, Nokia's devices offered reliability and ease of use. Over the next few years, Nokia experimented with new designs, introducing features that were innovative for the time. Phones became more than just tools. They started to define lifestyles. By 1999, Nokia's breakthrough came with the release of the 3210. This phone wasn't just functional, it was a cultural phenomenon. It was durable, had long battery life, and came with Snake, a game that captivated millions. The 3210 became a symbol of an era. People loved the way it fit into everyday life, whether in schools, offices, or homes. Nokia's approach was simple: create a device that anyone could use anywhere in the world. The following years saw Nokia refining its strategy. The 3310, launched shortly after, became legendary for its indestructibility. Users would drop it, hit it, even run it over, and the phone would survive. Meanwhile, the Nokia 1100 became the best-selling phone of all time, selling more than 250 million units worldwide. The company had achieved something few could imagine. It wasn't just making phones, it was creating icons. By the early 2000s, Nokia's brand symbolized trust, innovation, and dominance. The company controlled nearly 40% of the global mobile phone market. It had reached a point where its name alone was enough to inspire confidence in consumers. Nokia devices were everywhere, from bustling cities to remote villages, and they were beloved for their simplicity, reliability, and the sense of security they provided. By the mid-2000s, Nokia's dominance seemed unshakable. Its phones were not only everywhere, they were defining what a mobile phone should be. From office workers to teenagers, from urban centers to remote villages, people relied on Nokia for connectivity. The brand had become a part of everyday life. Its devices were known for their durability, long battery life, and ease of use. There was a sense of trust that few other brands could match. For many, a Nokia phone was not just a device, it was a companion. During this time, Nokia introduced new innovations while keeping its devices simple and functional. The company experimented with customizable ringtones, colorful shells, and small games. The Snake game became legendary, and it's hard to overstate how much this simple feature shaped mobile culture. People spent hours playing it on buses, at school, or waiting in lines. These small innovations made Nokia more than just a tool. It made it a part of daily life. Meanwhile, Nokia's global reach was unparalleled. The company understood different markets better than almost any competitor. In Europe and Asia, it focused on mid-range phones that offered reliability without the high cost. In developing countries, devices like the Nokia 1100 provided basic functionality at an affordable price, making mobile communication accessible to millions for the first time. Its strategy was simple: reach everyone, everywhere, with devices that just worked. Yet beneath the surface, the world was beginning to shift. The mid-2000s saw rapid advances in technology. Internet connectivity on phones was becoming more important. Touchscreens, faster processors, and app-based functionality were starting to redefine user expectations. Nokia's devices, still largely focused on hardware and durability, were not keeping pace with these emerging trends. In 2007, Apple introduced the iPhone. Suddenly, a new standard was set. The iPhone was more than a phone. It was a personal computer in your pocket, offering apps, multimedia, and a touch interface that felt revolutionary. Around the same time, Google launched Android, an open platform that allowed multiple manufacturers to innovate rapidly. Consumers began to see phones not just as communication tools, but as experiences, platforms, and lifestyle accessories. Nokia, despite its resources and global reach, was slow to react. Its operating system, Symbian, was outdated and cumbersome. Developers found it difficult to build apps for it, and its interface was less intuitive than the new touchscreen devices. Internally, Nokia was struggling with its own bureaucracy. Decisions were slow, and leadership debates often delayed critical innovations. The company that had once been celebrated for its speed and adaptability was now hindered by its own success. By 2008, the first cracks in Nokia's armor were visible. Apple and Android devices were gaining momentum, attracting younger consumers and tech enthusiasts. Nokia phones were still selling, but the excitement was fading. The company had underestimated how quickly consumer preferences were changing and how crucial software ecosystems would become. Hardware excellence alone was no longer enough to maintain dominance. At the same time, competitors were learning fast. Samsung, HTC, and other manufacturers were experimenting with new designs and touch interfaces. They were agile, willing to take risks, and ready to meet the emerging smartphone trend head-on. Nokia, however, remained focused on feature phones and incremental improvements to Symbian devices. The company seemed confident that its brand and reliability would keep it ahead, but the market was evolving faster than anyone could anticipate. Even Nokia's iconic devices, such as the N95, while technologically impressive, couldn't compete with the iPhone or Android's seamless app experience. The N95 had a powerful camera, GPS, and multimedia features, but its interface was complicated, and the software ecosystem couldn't support the same kind of innovation consumers were beginning to expect. This period marked the beginning of a slow but irreversible decline. What had once been the most desirable brand in mobile phones was now struggling to maintain relevance. Customers started looking elsewhere, enticed by the promise of touchscreens, apps, and smoother user experiences. The company that had built its empire on simplicity and reliability now faced a future it wasn't fully prepared for.
Nokia's story during these years is a reminder that even the most dominant brands can falter if they fail to anticipate change. For decades, it had set the standard for mobile devices, but in the new world of smartphones, the rules had changed. The combination of rapid technological evolution, shifting consumer expectations, and internal slowdowns created a perfect storm that Nokia could not easily navigate.
By 2010, it was clear that Nokia's position was no longer secure. The company had dominated for over a decade, but the market had shifted in ways that it hadn't fully anticipated. Smartphones were no longer a luxury. They were becoming essential. Consumers wanted devices that could do more than make calls and send texts. They wanted apps, internet access, multimedia, and an experience that felt seamless. Nokia's response was gradual, cautious, and ultimately insufficient. It tried to update its Symbian platform, introducing new devices with touchscreens and improved interfaces. Some models, like the N8, had impressive hardware, including high-quality cameras and multimedia features. Yet the software lagged behind. Developers found it cumbersome to build apps for Symbian, and users found the interface clunky compared to the sleek experience offered by iPhone and Android devices. Nokia had the hardware, but it lacked the ecosystem, the software, and the apps that were quickly becoming the new standard. Inside the company, debates raged. Should Nokia try to improve Symbian, create a new platform, or partner with another company? Leadership was divided, and time was slipping away. Every delayed decision gave competitors more ground. Apple and Google were setting the pace, and other manufacturers, including Samsung and HTC, were quick to adopt and innovate on Android. The pace of change was relentless, and Nokia's internal processes were too slow to match it. In 2011, Nokia made a bold move. It partnered with Microsoft and adopted the Windows Phone operating system as its primary smartphone platform. This decision marked a turning point. The Lumia series was launched, featuring striking designs, bright colors, and innovative hardware. On paper, it seemed like the perfect solution. Nokia's hardware expertise combined with Microsoft's software. But the market response was mixed. Windows Phone lacked a robust app ecosystem. Developers were hesitant to invest in a platform with limited reach, and users quickly noticed that their favorite apps were missing. At the same time, the Lumia devices still carried the perception of Nokia as a company from a previous era. Consumers were beginning to associate Nokia with simple, durable feature phones rather than cutting-edge smartphones. Despite the design, innovation, and bold colors, the devices struggled to attract attention in a market increasingly dominated by iPhone and Android devices. Nokia tried to compete on features, emphasizing hardware quality, camera performance, and durability. The Lumia 920, for example, introduced innovative camera technology and image stabilization that many competitors did not have at the time. Yet these features were not enough. In the smartphone era, consumers were looking for ecosystems, app stores, and seamless integration between devices. Nokia's efforts, though technically impressive, failed to capture the imagination of the mass market. By 2013, the situation had reached a breaking point. Nokia sold its smartphone division to Microsoft for $7.2 billion. The decision marked the end of an era. For decades, Nokia had been synonymous with mobile phones, and suddenly it was no longer a consumer phone manufacturer. Microsoft struggled to integrate the division and eventually wrote off most of its value. Nokia as a consumer brand had effectively disappeared from the smartphone market. Yet the story did not end there. Nokia shifted its focus to telecommunications equipment and network infrastructure, including the emerging field of 5G. While it no longer dominated mobile phones, the company survived and adapted. Its expertise in telecommunications allowed it to remain a global player, albeit in a very different role. Nokia's hardware legacy continued in other ways, but its identity as a household phone brand was gone.
Nokia's decline is more than a business failure. It is a lesson in timing, adaptability, and the limits of dominance. Even the most powerful brands can falter when they underestimate technological shifts or consumer expectations. Complacency, slow decision-making, and overconfidence in past success can be deadly. Yet, Nokia's story also demonstrates resilience. Even after losing the smartphone market, the company reinvented itself in the network infrastructure space, proving that adaptation is possible, even if it comes too late to reclaim past glory. The rise and fall of Nokia serves as a reminder that in the technology world, no empire is permanent. A brand that was once everywhere can fade when the market moves faster than its leadership can respond. Innovation cannot stop. Complacency is a risk, and while hardware can build an empire, software, ecosystems, and understanding consumer needs are just as important.
Even as Nokia's smartphones faded from stores, the cultural impact of the brand remained enormous. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, owning a Nokia phone was a rite of passage. Teenagers played Snake on their 3210s, families relied on the 1100 for basic communication, and office workers depended on reliable devices for calls and emails. Nokia phones were almost indestructible, and people came to trust them in ways no other brand had achieved. The company's approach to design, durability, and user experience created a loyal following that spanned continents. The simplicity of Nokia phones was part of their magic. There were no complicated menus, no constant updates, and no apps demanding attention. Users knew their phone would work day in and day out with minimal effort. In an era before smartphones, Nokia had found the perfect balance of functionality, reliability, and accessibility. Even today, people remember the feeling of holding a Nokia phone, the tactile buttons, the solid weight, the unshakable sense of dependability. But the cultural success also masked an emerging problem. The company's identity was deeply tied to feature phones. Consumers loved Nokia for the qualities it had perfected, but as the world moved towards smartphones, this very identity became a liability. People began expecting more: touchscreens, apps, social media, mobile internet, and integrated ecosystems. Nokia's focus on reliability and hardware excellence was no longer enough. During this period, competitors seized the opportunity. Apple focused on user experience, apps, and sleek design. Samsung combined hardware innovation with Android's ecosystem to reach millions. Even smaller brands could gain traction by adopting these new technologies faster than Nokia could. Every delay in response widened the gap, and every missed opportunity made it harder for Nokia to reclaim its former glory. Internally, Nokia faced challenges that many outsiders never saw. Leadership debates, corporate bureaucracy, and a cautious approach to risk slowed decision-making. Promising innovations were often delayed or stuck in committees while competitors moved quickly. In the fast-moving smartphone world, speed and agility mattered as much as technology itself. Nokia, for all its resources and expertise, struggled to match the pace. During this period, competitors seized the opportunity. Apple focused on user experience, apps, and sleek design. Samsung combined hardware innovation with Android's ecosystem to reach millions. Even smaller brands could gain traction by adopting these new technologies faster than Nokia could. Every delay in response widened the gap, and every missed opportunity made it harder for Nokia to reclaim its former glory. Internally, Nokia faced challenges that many outsiders never saw. Leadership debates, corporate bureaucracy, and a cautious approach to risk slowed decision-making. Promising innovations were often delayed or stuck in committees while competitors moved quickly. In the fast-moving smartphone world, speed and agility mattered as much as technology itself. Nokia, for all its resources and expertise, struggled to match the pace. Yet, the story also includes resilience. After selling its smartphone division, Nokia returned to its roots in telecommunications infrastructure. It invested heavily in network technology, particularly in the emerging 5G space. Today, Nokia plays a critical role in global communications, helping build the networks that power smartphones, the Internet of Things, and smart cities. While it no longer dominates in consumer devices, its expertise and technology remain essential to modern communication. The lessons of Nokia's journey are stark. Dominance can breed complacency. Even the most successful companies must anticipate change and act decisively. In technology, innovation is constant, and resting on past success is a risk no brand can afford. Nokia underestimated the shift toward software, apps, and ecosystems, and the consequences were dramatic. Yet, its ability to survive in a different market segment also shows that adaptation is possible. Timing is everything, and reinvention is sometimes necessary for survival. Nokia's story is a reminder that technology moves fast and that consumer expectations evolve even faster. It highlights the importance of corporate culture, strategic vision, and speed in decision-making. It shows that technical excellence alone cannot guarantee lasting success. The company's rise and fall are both cautionary and inspirational, a tale of ambition, innovation, and the unforgiving pace of the modern world. Even today, when a Nokia phone lights up somewhere in the world, it evokes memories of durability, simplicity, and reliability. The brand may no longer dominate the consumer market, but its legacy lives on, both in the memories of millions and in the networks that connect the modern world. The empire may have changed shape, but the story continues, offering lessons that every technology company, entrepreneur, and innovator would be wise to remember.
As Nokia's presence in the consumer phone market diminished, its story became one of both caution and nostalgia. Around the world, people remember not just the phones, but the moments connected to them. In India, a schoolboy's first call on a Nokia 1100 marked a new sense of independence. In Europe, office workers relied on the Nokia 3310 to survive long business trips, knowing that the battery would outlast every competitor. Stories circulated online about phones surviving drops from buildings, puddles, even being run over by cars. The phrase "indestructible Nokia" became more than a marketing line. It became a cultural legend. Yet behind these stories lay the harsh reality of the changing mobile landscape. Consumers were no longer content with durability alone. They wanted experiences. Smartphones offered more than calls. They offered connectivity, creativity, entertainment, and identity. Apple's iPhone was more than a device. It was a statement of style and technological sophistication. Android devices offered choice and flexibility, with apps and ecosystems that Nokia simply could not match. The company's reliance on its legacy, combined with internal hesitation, cost it the opportunity to lead the next generation of mobile technology. The Nokia-Microsoft partnership is often remembered as the final attempt to reclaim relevance. While the Lumia series offered innovation in design and hardware, it couldn't overcome the absence of a strong app ecosystem. Windows Phone, despite its technical merits, failed to attract developers and consumers in the numbers needed. This period illustrates a critical lesson. In technology, hardware alone is never enough. Ecosystems, software, and user experience are equally crucial. Nokia had excelled in hardware, but when the market shifted, it lagged behind. By selling its smartphone division in 2013, Nokia acknowledged the end of an era. But the company's story didn't conclude with defeat. Nokia pivoted, investing in network infrastructure, telecommunications, and 5G technology. Today, its equipment powers networks that connect billions of devices globally. While no longer a consumer brand, Nokia's expertise in connectivity ensures its continued relevance. The company reinvented itself, demonstrating that even after a dramatic fall, survival is possible with strategy and adaptation. Reflecting on Nokia's journey, several lessons emerge. First, dominance can be dangerous. Market leaders can become complacent, believing that their past success guarantees future relevance. Second, technological shifts are often unpredictable, and companies must be agile, willing to embrace change even when it challenges established practices.
Third, understanding consumer expectations is critical. Nokia excelled in durability and reliability, but the market demanded more: touchscreens, apps, and ecosystems, and Nokia was slow to respond. The cultural imprint of Nokia remains undeniable. Its devices defined a generation of mobile users. The indestructible phones, the iconic snake game, the long-lasting batteries, and the simple, dependable design, these created memories that endured decades later. Even as smartphones dominate the market today, there is a nostalgia for the simplicity and reliability of Nokia. In many ways, the company became more than just a phone manufacturer. It became a symbol of trust, endurance, and the power of thoughtful engineering. Nokia's rise and fall also highlights the unforgiving pace of the technology world. Even giants can falter when innovation accelerates. Decisions delayed, debates prolonged, and strategies held too tightly to past success can lead to rapid decline. Yet, reinvention remains possible. Nokia's focus on network infrastructure and 5G illustrates that a company can find new paths to relevance, even after losing its defining market. In the end, Nokia's story is a lesson, a warning, and inspiration. It reminds us that no empire is permanent, that adaptability is essential, and that understanding the future is as important as honoring the past. It shows that a company can be a pioneer, a dominant force, and even a cautionary tale, all at the same time. And though the phones that once ruled the world may now be rare in stores, their legacy and the lessons they carry continue to echo. From humble beginnings in a Finnish paper mill to global dominance, from cultural icon to corporate cautionary tale, Nokia's journey is a story of ambition, innovation, triumph, and humility. Its rise was mediotic, its fall dramatic, and its survival a testament to the power of adaptation. For entrepreneurs, innovators, and technology enthusiasts, Nokia remains both a legend and a teacher, proof that in the ever-changing world of technology, no one can afford to rest and every moment counts.